Hey guys, it's Akari, and in this video, I'm going to walk you through how I use leverage to go from dead broke to over $1 million with shadow operating. So I kind of want to start out by just saying, I know a lot of you watching this channel might be working a full-time job, so you might be limited in terms of time or expertise, right? Which is completely fine because these skills can be learnable, and the more you do them, the better you'll get. So no matter what your situation is, you will be able to make this work, and as long as you commit to this business, you will get results. So I think the best way to kind of break down this concept of leverage and how I kind of used it to make money is by telling my story. So firstly, with leverage, right, there's 3 different ways you can use it. Firstly, your time. So whatever time you have, you can leverage it to make money. Or energy. So like your actual energy that you have to dedicate towards something, your energy and focus is another one. And the third one is actually money. So like you might be using it to invest into a software, into some mentorship, or just something to speed up the process, right? So those are your 3 sources of leverage, you could say, and the 3 things that you can use to kind of take you from where you are right now to your goal of 10, 20K a month online. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna walk you through my journey because I haven't really told it fully and kind of show you how I got to here, but basically from where did it start is what I'm trying to say, okay? All right, so let's see, how far back do I go? Okay, let's go from 2018. All right, so this is when I started my first e-commerce business. So I actually got into dropshipping, and I think after a month I made my first sale of like $8.70 US. I still remember that notification pop up on my phone. It was like ching, and that sound was so satisfying. Like still to this day, even after like all the money I've made, it is still, to be honest, one of the best feelings, that first sale you get. But yeah, like I didn't have much money at the time. I was studying to be a personal trainer. That was kind of like my first job. So yeah, I was living with my parents and I didn't have much money. And honestly, I just wanted to make money online. But anyway, I started my own white labeled brand. So when I was a personal trainer, when I went to the gym, I actually used these resistance bands with my clients, but all the ones in the gym were like these plastic ones that like when you pull them, honestly, I remember one time I was helping a client do an exercise. They put them along the legs and it just snapped and it like literally flew across the room in the gym. And when that happened, I was like, what? There's gotta be something better than this. So that's actually when I started to research, because conveniently I had already had some experience with dropshipping. And I think like the first time I got into it, I made like $1,000 or $2,000, nothing too crazy. But at the time it felt really good, of course. But yeah, so anyway, so I started personal training. That happened. I researched resistance bands, but like better ones, right? Something that's material that won't snap, that's more durable. And to be honest, my initial intention was just like, okay, let me get some of these so I can use them with my clients. But then right after, I'm like, wait a sec. I'm doing dropshipping, I want to make money online. Why don't I actually sell this? So yeah, obviously at the time, as a personal trainer, you actually have to pay the gym rent, which is pretty crazy. And yeah, I had some clients, but to be honest, I wasn't making that much money. So what I did is I took, I think it was like $100 or $150 that I had saved up, and I used that to buy stock for this resistance band that I found on, I think it was Alibaba. Yeah, Alibaba. And yeah, it was like 50 of these fabric resistance bands. And so I used them leveraged my money in this case, which was $150 at the time, to get these bands and to essentially buy the stock. And I had my logo printed on it. I had 50 stock and that was it. I was out of money, but at least I had this product that I could use with my clients and that I could sell. So what did I do? So after I'd leveraged my money to buy the stock, then I'm like, how can I leverage my time to actually sell this product? So what I did is I created a website, made it look really nice. And honestly, what I thought was, to sell this product, either I need to build my own audience somehow, but again, it was more like a female product. So I'm not a female. I mean, that's why I was like, maybe I need to find other females to promote this product, right? So that's when the idea of working with influencers actually came into my mind, because I didn't have money for ads. I had already spent that on the stock. I had some time after my work, but my options were a bit limited, you could say, at that time. So that's actually the idea of working with influencers popped into my mind. And so what I did was, sorry, I need coffee. It's been a long day. Okay, back to the video. So what I did was I collected a bunch of fitness influencers on Instagram, and I think it was honestly like 100, 200, something like that, all girls. And I emailed them, I DM'd them, and I basically said, hey, look, I got this product. I really think you like it, and let me send you a product if you like, and feel free to post about it. If not, that's fine, and just enjoy it, the product, right? So from 100 emails, I think I got like 10 or 20 replies. And looking back, that was actually a pretty good response rate, because nowadays, I mean, things can a little bit different, right? More competition. But yeah, at the time, there weren't many people doing dropshipping as much as now. And also that product wasn't as popular as it is now. Actually, I see it everywhere. But at the time, I think I was one of the first, at least in my country, which is New Zealand. So yeah, that's what I did. I sent the bands to the girls who said yes. They actually posted about it. And just from the message, me saying, hey, here's the product, feel free to post it or not, I think the fact that I wasn't pressuring them to post or asking them, I was just like, here you go, try it out. And I think because the product was so good, they posted about it, and then I got my first sale. And that's when the light bulb clicked. I'm like, wow, okay, I've leveraged my money to buy this product. Now I got this product, I leveraged my time by reaching out to influencers, and technically leveraging their audience to promote it, right? Because they had already built it up. They've got the trust with their followers. So it made a lot of sense to me. And guys, this was back in 2018, 2019. So this is honestly like 6 or 7 years ago that I actually started working with influencers. When that happened and started to get sales from these influencers, I was like, wow, this is crazy. So I keep reaching out. Honestly, a lot of girls promoted it, and the whole business grew off organic traffic. I did not spend $1 on ads. And I was super pleased. I think in the first year we did like 50K, which wasn't too bad, you could say. I don't know, but I ended up selling thousands. I went to a fitness expo in Australia, and then again we did like 5 or 6K there. It's hard to remember, something like that. So yeah, it did super well. And then I ended up selling the business to someone in America during COVID. So that was my first business that I was able to use the concept of leverage. So basically, I leveraged my money to buy the stock, leveraged my time to reach out to influencers, and then leveraged the influencers' audience to make sales. So that's how I went from dead broke all the way up until this point where I had like a bit more money, right? And then what I did is I was able to, actually I was on my phone, right? And I was just on Facebook, and then I saw a job application for this influencer guy who's actually pretty big here in New Zealand. Fitness guy, built a massive following, very respectful guy, and yeah, obviously has done well. So I applied for that job. At the time, I think I was 20, so I was still really young. And yeah, I ended up getting the job out of 3,800 people over someone who had a marketing degree. And at the time, I had personal training, I had worked at a gym, but I didn't have a piece of paper saying this guy knows marketing. What I had, though, was a successful business that I had run that I started with nothing that was able to leverage what I had at the time. And so the fact that I had that experience, I was able to leverage that to land a role with this fitness influencer out of 3,800 people. And so, yeah, that's essentially how I got that job. And I worked there for 2 years as a marketing specialist. And at the time, I was making okay money, you could say, but I was more in it to learn the skills, to build the connection with the influencer, and to just kind of live in marketing and learn about everything. So you could say it was a good experience, but my end goal was to eventually, have something else to propel me forward. So after 2 years, I realized, look, this 9 to 5 thing isn't for me. Nothing against the influencer and nothing against the people there. I actually really enjoyed working there. I think it was more the fact that I knew I was capable of more, right? So when I left that role, I'm like, okay, I've worked there, I've got this experience. What do I do now? Well, I do still know the influencer because obviously I worked for him and we had a good relationship. And I reached out to him and I said, hey, look, I think we could partner together and build something that, a better offer. Because at the time, I think he was selling fitness programs and it was between $67 for 12 weeks. And I think even $7 a week or something for the fitness program. So it was super, super cheap. But when I was working there, I came across one of the old websites, and I remember before I actually started working for him, seeing this offer, and essentially it was like a business coaching offer. And I signed up for the waitlist at the time because I was wanting to get in. I wanted to learn business from this guy. He's super successful. He's an entrepreneur. He's selling fitness programs because he's obviously in great shape. But what he hadn't done yet was actually teach people his business expertise and how he got to be a successful entrepreneur, had a Lamborghini, multi-millionaire, right? So very, very successful guy. So that was the gap I saw. I'm like, wait a sec. You had this offer, you had a wait list of 5,000 people for it, me included. I signed up to that wait list because I wanted to learn from him before I worked for him, by the way. So I'm like, let's build that, right? Let's pick up that. I don't know why it didn't get launched, but yeah, that's what I did. So I launched something with him, and at the time we launched a $197 course. So it was actually hosted on a website called Teachable. And it was really essentially a blueprint, you could say, of how he got from where he was to where he is now. And that blueprint laid out, honestly, all the steps that he took. And that did pretty well. I think we did 10 or 20K or something. Nothing too crazy, but it was good for the first few months, right? But very quickly, I'm like, wait a sec, there's a lot of people who message him and people who want to learn more from him. And a course is great, but I think more personal mentorship would actually be helpful, or some form of a network, right? And so what I did is I suggested an idea that we could actually build a higher ticket offer. So something that is worth a lot more, where they get more access to him, where we can deliver more value to people. And he liked the idea. And honestly, from there, I started to build it out. And just before I get on to the next step, I quickly want to get you up to speed here. So firstly, I leveraged that first part to get the job, right? And now from the job to getting the influencer partnership was seamless because I had already built up trust over 2 years working for him, and obviously doing well at that marketing role to justify a partnership, right? And so you could technically say I leveraged my time and energy in that job to be able to get the partnership. Now, I know a lot of you guys starting this business model won't be following the same path as me. And to be honest, my path was a lot longer and more difficult. I had to first start an e-commerce business, leverage that to actually get the job. And then I worked 2 years at the job, and then I got a partnership. And honestly, guys, the way I teach in my program, and that I've helped tons of clients, again, I'll put some screenshots here of clients that I've helped get partnerships. within 1 to 2 months. So the way that I teach you guys is so much faster, so much easier. And that system, if I had known many, many years ago, I would be way further ahead. So yeah, but I'm more sharing the story and the concept of leverage just so you can understand how I got to this point, right? Because I think wherever you are right now, your specific position, if you're working a job, if you're a student, if you want to make more money online, you need to use leverage and leverage your current situation in order to get to the next level, right? So back to the story. So we launched that high ticket offer in March of 2023. And yeah, I think after 2 weeks, we got our first sale. And I think it was like $3,000 or something. That was the mentorship price for the program. And so yeah, that's what the offer was, and we did super well. So after 18 months of working with him, running that offer, scaling it up, we had already generated over 7 figures. So that's kind of how I leveraged that partnership and his audience to generate that money, because as I said, very successful guy, been offering fitness programs, but for really cheap, and had built up his audience, I think over like 10 years. So a very long time. And yeah, it's just like offering something that people already wanted and had demand for, but just wasn't there. And creating a digital offer that was able to provide value, right? And it was super cool because we helped a lot of people leave their 9 to 5s. They were able to go travel the world. People started to get more views on their social media, make more money. So it was a very cool business to be involved because we were actually helping people and creating like a network. Like people actually became friends within there, and they would meet up in person in this country, and yeah, it was super cool to be a part of. But yeah, so after that, right? So you can see already how I've used leverage multiple times. Once we generate that revenue, I was able to find another influencer. And the way I did this was, instead of applying for a marketing job, going to work for them, and then after multiple years, try to become a partner, what I did was I leveraged the influencer I worked with by using his connections. So there was actually this guy. I remember we were in Dubai, right? That's when I was living there at the time. And we were at a cafe, me and the influencer. And at that time, we were already wanting to find, basically get another influencer and essentially set up an agency, you could say. But yeah, this guy was also from New Zealand, which was really good. And he was literally walking past the cafe, and then the influencer called his name out. He came over, and that's kind of where the conversation started. And then we ended up launching an offer for him, and that did super well. And we did that for 3 to 6 months, I think. So yeah, instead of me going through that whole process again, because I had already generated results with him and he knew that we could do this, we were able to leverage his connections to find another influencer, which was super fast because he already knew him. And then I just launched the next digital offer with him, way faster. And so that's how I got to essentially over 7 figures in revenue generated through shadow operating, from dead broke in 2018 as a personal trainer who was scraping by, to be honest. And going from that to getting the job, to getting the partnership, to leverage that partnership to get another partnership, to, yeah, basically now is been my entire journey. So that's kind of my story. I hope that was valuable for you guys to hear, and just understanding that no matter where you are, because I've been in your situation, right? I've been dead broke. I've been working a full-time job. I was getting up at 5 a.m., driving to the gym to meet clients, and sometimes they didn't even show up. And that would really frustrate me. So I know how it feels. I know your situation because I've been there. And so that's why I'm sharing with you. Look, if you are right now have limited time, let's say you're working a full-time job or you're a student, then whatever time you have left in the day, I like to call it the So you got 9 to 5 is your full time, right? It's your 5 to 9. So 5 p.m. to 9 a.m. every day. And then the weekends, if you're not working them, work on the weekends. That's your time to catch up and your time to get ahead and escape the 9 to 5, right? But that 5 to 9 period is where you can actually dedicate and leverage your time. So whether that be finding influencers, outreach, creating digital offers, whatever stage you are in right now of your journey as a shadow operator is what you need to leverage, right? So that's the first one, your time and your energy, and just focus on one business model. And next, if you do have money, if you do have savings, then I would highly recommend to invest in some form of mentorship, whether it's mine or someone else's, just so that you can speed up the process, right? Because you got to look at it this way. If you haven't got a successful business, if you're not making 10K a month, if you're constantly thinking about it, researching, and just staying stuck in this hamster wheel mode, nothing will ever change. The only thing that will change is by you taking action, investing in yourself, and essentially paying for mentorship with someone like myself to actually transfer the information in my brain into yours, so that instead of wasting many months trying to figure this stuff out on your own with no clear path, no guidance, you can get that one-on-one support and start getting results within 1 to 2 months, land your partnership within 2 months, like all my other clients. And by month 3, you'll be generating revenue and know the exact process to replicate this with more influencers. So if you've been thinking about it, if you're like basically sick of your current situation and you just want to take action, then you can click that first link in the description to apply to work with me one-on-one. I'll be more than happy to have a chat with you and see where you are right now with your situation. And if I genuinely feel that I can help you, then we can go from there. And yeah, you can come on as a client if you like. But yeah, that is essentially what I wanted to talk about today. And I really hope this was valuable for you and just how you can see the entire process of how I got to this point, and that wherever you are right now, all you need to do is leverage your current situation. All right. So that's it. Please like, subscribe, and see you guys on the next video.